All right, good morning, everybody. I'm excited to be hopping up here live today. And I am excited to be chatting with you about what's going on in spring, right? And kind of, I guess, I want to talk a little bit about testimony. I want to talk a little bit about consistency. And then I want to talk to you guys about my course. So let's get into it. First, I want to let everybody know that I have answered one of my most requested DM questions. People are always asking, Danielle, how do you create these planners and these journals and these workbooks and stuff like that? And so I have partnered with one of my designers, and we have created a course called How to Create a Journal, Planner, or Workbook That Sells. And in this course, we're going to go through really the steps that I do with any client, as well as what I did with my own books, right? So the first step is research. So you want to see what's out there. What is there? What are some of the pages that are currently out there? You don't really need to reinvent the wheel. You really want to see in what category that you're thinking of, where is there a gap that you can then come and create your own thing? Or if something's already super popular, how can you put your own niche or individual spin on it? And that's what I'm here for clients that are like, I have an idea, but I really want you to hold my hand. That's what we're doing. We hold the hand every step of the way. There's a weekly cadence call that we have just to make sure that things are moving the needle. And then we give you time for you to talk to people, right? Creating a workbook, a journal, or a planner is definitely a birthing process. You're creating something that if you do the steps that most people do, you put it out there for the world, potentially forever, right? You're putting it on Amazon, you're putting it on Barnes and Nobles or Walmart.com. And that is something that you're able to leave your mark in generationally. You know what I mean? Like, when you pass on, you'll still be able to sell those books. And it's a really big thing. It is a big deal. I think that once we do it so many times, we're like, oh, it's not a big deal. But no, your first book is important, but so is all the ones after that. And that's really what I preach. So many people have, they come to me, they're like, I have 5 ideas, right? And so I say, let's start with one. But absolutely, I believe that if you have 5 ideas, then you should use all 5 ideas. That's just my mentality. I have a can-do attitude, and I think bigger, right? One book may not be your calling. Your calling may to have 13 of them, 20 of them, right? And that's when you can start making really good money, because it's a lot easier to sell 2 or 3 books of each one per day than to have, one large order or a whole bunch of one type of book. And you want to put them out there because you really never know which one is going to hit. If we're looking at mine, I have a whole bunch of them, and there's 2 that I really that are out there that I haven't advertised because I don't have the physical copies just yet. But if I'm looking at all the ones that I did, my most popular ones are the Self-Development Journal, the Manifestation Journal, and the Her Prayer Journal. And so if I would have just stopped with my first one, I would have never got into all of those. And so I want to push you guys, what we call it is a brain dump. Have a brain dump. And then, you may have your vision of what you're going to release for the next 3, 4, 5 years. You can release 3, 4 books a year and keep going. I think that that's a great thing, right? I think so many times, and this is what I had to overcome last year. So many times we're looking to the left and the right, and we're like, oh, this person's doing this. Maybe I should add this to my strategy. And although I think that some of those things are great, for me, I already knew all of the books that I'm going to make in 2020. I knew that in like July. I knew the rest of the books that I was going to make for 2020. And I have on a poster board all of the books that I'm going to make in 2021. And I'll sometimes get ideas and I'll add to it, but it's no pressure. You know what I mean? Like I have enough right now that I'm just really happy and in the focus mode of selling and connecting with my audience. And being able to come up here every morning is a goal that I plan to achieve during 2021. So that moving forward here on out, it's really not a big deal to hop on live and talk to you guys. But it's a birthing process to even get to this point for me, because I am one of those people that I do work in my business and on it. And we're working on that. We've interviewed a lot of different designers to grow and scale this month. So I'm excited and have been using some of them, and I'm excited to use even more. But that's just a mixture of what my issue used to be, right? And now, as of Sunday, I had dealt with and handled all of my to-do lists. And so I'm a lot more responsive and just things, I'm caught up. And it's a good place to be. But it took a minute to get there. And my process is my process. That is my journey. But it's a lot easier to handle the things on your list when you already have the vision. Like I already know I want to get, women and minorities certified. There's a business credit course that I'm going to tackle in the next couple of weeks. And that's pretty much the main thing that I have as to work on my business. I also want to copyright my books. So those are some of the things that I'm going to work on. And that's it. Everything else is like grow, sell, scale. And these are the things that I know are placed in my vision. And so I implore people to really get specific on what are the next steps for your vision and what does that look like for you. But that's just my little tidbit. It keeps me sane. It keeps me having that work-life balance. And I feel like it's a lot easier to manifest a lot of things because you're not all over the place and you're really clear on your vision and your intentions and working towards it. And so that all happens with a lot of quiet time with God, quiet time with myself, manifestations, being in positive groups that are letting me know what I should and shouldn't have, and being surrounded by people that are that next level or a couple levels ahead of me that will pour into me. And so that is pretty much what I deal with or what I do day in and day out as far as keeping me moving together. And so I think we don't talk enough about that. Like, what does that look like? Where do you get your advice? Where do you get your stuff? And there's a lot of gems and a lot of different Facebook groups, and it just all depends on what you're attracted to and what you spend your time in. Like there's a lot of groups that are like super like complaining about anything, right? About whatever life has to do with finances, men, family relationships and situations and things like that. And I get it. When you're in it, you just need a place to vent. Facebook is not a place that I would personally vent, but that's just what it is. And there's safe spaces for that. But just like there's safe spaces for that, there's safe spaces for people wanting to do better, to grow. I know on Sunday, I attended a coloring book course, even though I already have two. I wanted to see what else was out there and what they were teaching, right? There's nothing wrong with putting yourself in those situations and making sure that you're getting all of the knowledge. Because now I have an idea to do it for my clients. People have asked me, how do you do this coloring books? I would love to go over them with you. And and take that to the next level. So there's so many things that I think are really exciting and are happening in Facebook when you put yourself intentionally to more positivity. And so I implore people, if you're not really into like new Facebook groups, I recommend that you find two, find three. I've made a lot of money in some of these craft groups, and who would have thought, right? Who would have thought that they wanted my journals, but they love it. And I'm really grateful that I took a chance and I decided to try. And there's another group that I want to paid for advertising in for April to test that out and see if it works. So, that is marketing. A lot of people are like, well, is there a guarantee? There's not a guarantee. Well, what group that works for me may not work for you, but what group works for me may work for you. And you don't know until you try. And once you try, you need to be creating and taking notes for analytics and making sure that you are deciding, is it successful, is it not successful, and making sure that the money that you bring in, that you're always dedicating time and money for advertising, right? People think that just hopping on lives are waste of time, and you want to hop on live with a reason. You don't want to ramble. You want to have some clear points that you want to cut, and most importantly, you want to have a call to action. So now let's dive back into my course that I'm promoting. So with this course, people are like, well, what are the steps for creating? So the first step, like I said, is researching, and you're going to find out where I go to research, what websites, how do I find these pages, how do I find what's internal, and what works for me. So you're going to know those exact same things. And then lastly, you're going to then go into the formatting. So a lot of people are like, how do I come up with a color scheme? What colors work with each other? And I've had this before. I've had clients come and be like, I want to create a logo. And then they'll have like all these different colors that they personally like. And then we'll go to a couple of different websites that you'll know within the course, where you go and you can see what colors go together. So you can type in one color and it'll give you some matches. And you'll see that, some of your stuff does not work. And that's okay. But I'm going to show you how to get to that next level and find colors that match. Once you find your color scheme, then you can go and figure out your different fonts. I'm going to show you where you go to find fonts, where you go to find different elements to make your stuff pop. And then once you have your colors and your fonts and your kind of mood, then we're going to talk about formatting. So there's a science to formatting, right? Because the goal is not to overwhelm your audience on one page to the point that they don't move past it because they're overwhelmed. And so I see that is one of the number one mistakes when it comes to creating different workbooks specifically. People put so much information in one page that people then get defeated and don't move on to the next. So you want to make sure that your workbook is easily digestible. I always say that content should be consumed like popcorn, where you can do one at a time. It easily goes from one step to the next. And by the time that they know it, they completed a whole first section or they completed the whole book, because that's the goal, right? You want people to complete your books, and then you want people to promote and share and give really, really great reviews about how great it was. Same thing for your planners and journals. So for me, when people are like, what differentiates your journals? So what differentiates my journals is that we have activity pages. They're not just blank line pages. They are activities or something to make them pop. So if you're looking at my prayer journal, there's a crossword puzzle with women in the Bible. And then every couple of pages, there are a prayer that is sprinkled in there that I came up with. And then there's a Bible verse. And then every page is a Bible verse on it. If we go into the manifestation journal, every page is a prompt. So if you're new to manifestation, or if you just don't want to think about what you need to manifest about, it's going to prompt you, and then you can just go and start writing. And so that helps you to get through the next page. Same thing with my self-development journal. Each page is one prompt or one thing that it's telling you to do. It's not telling you to do 5 different things. It's telling you to do one thing. One page may be write your support team. And so in this course, we're actually using a lot of the pages in the self-development journal. So you can see how it came from being a blank page to having these elements and what these elements are made from. And you're going to be amazed at how simple it is. It just takes an eye. And then for some of you guys, you're going to be like, you know what? I learned a lot. I can now go and maybe buy some of my elements and things like that to hand to you, but I don't want to do it. It's a lot of work. But at least now you know what work it takes to create what you're looking for. So that's that. I'm really excited. And yeah, that is pretty much where we're at with the course. And so I'm really excited for those that are going to be taking this course. Once you create your projects, please tag me. I cannot wait to hear and see what you guys create. I feel like learning how to create this is going to not only take your brand to the next level, because what I think when I think of workbooks and ebooks and planners and journals is they're becoming the new business card. You know, when I think about it, that's what it is. People want to check and see what you're selling that's middle value or low value. Is it quality still? Do you know what you're talking about? And once you wow them, because you'll wow them, then they'll be even more inclined and open to work with you on your higher ticketed stuff. It's a funnel, and it's a way for you to reach more people. I know for me, not every one of my friends and family wants to be an entrepreneur, right? Or wants to start their own side hustle. However, a lot of people were able to purchase or support when I created these planners, journals, workbooks, and coloring books, because it has nothing to do with that. And for me, I created them with me in mind, right? When you think about a workbook is for the you 5 years ago, right? Because nothing in your workbook you can really use for yourself because you know everything. But when it comes to a planner, it comes to a journal, or it comes to a coloring book, you can make that stuff with you in mind because it's blank for you to then go and fill in. It doesn't matter. Me today and me 5 years ago can use the same planner, can use the same journal, because it has nothing to do with the content, but more so the person. And you're laying out these things that are going to change, right? The me today needs to write what I want 1 year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years ago from now. And then the me in 2 years needs to do the same thing. I need to constantly be planning and setting my intentions to how I want my life to go. That doesn't expire. That's going to always be relevant. But what I wish I would have known about creating all these things, yeah, I wish I would have known all this stuff 5 years ago. I would have been so much further than where I'm at now. But that's perfect for where I'm at now to create this stuff for those coming up, for the next generation or the next group of entrepreneurs. They're going to love this stuff, and it's also going to make my business grow. So you want to think about, right? That's the difference of creating a workbook, a journal, or a planner when it comes to themes and it comes to topics. Because a lot of people, when it comes to their ebooks, they're never finished and they never think it's good enough because they think that they are the target market with that. And once you decide, hey, I'm not the target market for this, it's really the me 5 years ago, then you know that what you've created is quality. What you created is good, right? And then you can also better market it. You know, people that are your peers may not buy your workbook, but people that are your peers or your equals or people that are above you, they can buy and they can support a journal. They can buy and support a work and a planner. They can buy and support a coloring book. But they don't need a Instagram one-on-one if they're already killing on Instagram. They don't need that. But somebody that isn't killing it on Instagram, oh, they would love that. So it's all about your target and your intentions and figuring out what that looks like. But I feel so good to connect with you guys on live today. There will be more coming up, but I just wanted to say hello. And then also for and this is just a shout out to a group that is super positive. People are like, I just need a positive group. Yeah, Black Girls in Trader Joe's. That group is so much fun, so lit, so positive. All we do is talk about produce and what works and what doesn't work. And I went shopping with my friend Ty this Saturday, and a lady from the group just approached us and was like, "Are y'all in the group?" And y'all, we squealed and had so much fun connecting. It really made all of our days. And the fact that happened just randomly, that group is lit. So if you're a Black girl that shops at Trader Joe's, please go and sign up for that group. That group is amazing. All right, I'm going to cut this now as I have a call at 10. So I will see you guys later. Thanks so much for rolling with me. Bye.